like it. You know what I like about you, and this is what I like. I know introductions that you're real, you're raw, and you're honest. And I know I said to you, you're the person I want to be when I grow up, and there's no age difference between us. I wanted to be, I aspired as a young woman to be, and I love your response. You turned around and said to me, like you said, I'm not grown up, darling. I'm never going to grow up. You know?
No, I don't want to grow up. I just want to play all the time.
But that's what you see. And people, I really recommend you asking people to be friends with people that you stalk on Facebook, because we do stalk. We'd stalk you for, I think, at least a month till I accidentally added friend. And I thought, oh, let's just do it. Because you've got this vibrant energy. Yeah, like this energy that comes through. Not many people have that gift of how they can convey the truth in their words.
Thank you.
Who you are as a person through that, and it inspires me to be a better person. So that's a big thank you to you.
Thank you so much. I'll take that.
To this, I want to hear about the Scotland saga. So you told me that's your greatest obstacle. Could you explain to everybody?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I'm not sure if there's a bit of a lag at the moment, because I'm catching some of your words and not all of them. But yeah, the Scotland saga. Well, that's what I nicknamed it anyway, because the boys and I were on a holiday. We went on a 7-week road trip around the UK. 7 weeks. 7 always comes up. 7's such a cool number, by the way. So yeah, I just put that out there. And we were about halfway through our road trip. We'd been surfing, we'd been cycling, we'd been wild camping, we had been just like rocking up on a coastal area and just parking and sleeping in the car. We had a big 7-seater, and I'd taken out 7. I'd taken not 7 of the seats. I'd taken out like 3 of the seats, and so like we had loads of space. All the camping equipment was in there. We went to this tiny little, you can't even call it a village. And my now ex-partner was with us. And it was where they filmed the Downton Abbey Christmas special. I was so excited. Like Lady Mary and the Dowager. I'd love to have tea with those two. Yeah, and they took the police rocked up, because I left the boys in the car for 10 minutes. While I walked up to the driveway and back again to check the opening times. And they were 12 and a half and 8 and a half. So my eldest is legally old enough to be paid to take care of my youngest. We've also lived through the Egyptian uprising. So, you know, they're not soft boys. You know, they've had a bit of a hardcore life, and I've raised them to be competent and confident. And they were in the car. My youngest got out to go for a wee. Next thing I know, we're all 3 of us are being thrown in the back of a police car, and then I'm told that they're taking my kids off me, and I'm in a police cell for 57 and a half hours. I'm like, you messed with the wrong mama bear. I was furious. I'm like, yeah, no, not the right person to have done this to.
Like, what did they say? Like, what legal laws had you broken?
Well, I hadn't broken any laws. I can't hear the beginning of your questions.
Shit.
I'm good at lip reading though.
But what I was saying is, you said there was no laws broken, like laws broken in what was happening. Is that right?
There were no laws.
No.
Because what I then went on to do, I was a police assessor. So I had access to all their behavioural frameworks. I'm a geek. Like, I will study. Like, I mean, I'm studying economics, and at the moment, just for the hell of it, and, you know, biogenetics, just because I want to. So when this kicked off, I was like, no way. Because how many parents let their kids walk to school? How many parents let their kids go at the park by themselves? How many lone or single parents are there that when they're camping, go for a shower? Or when you're in the park and your kids are playing, how many of us will just let the kids play, especially at 12 and a half and 8.5 years of age? You know, it's not, I mean, I did write in my book, I didn't do a McCann and leave my kids, you know, for hours. I don't know if anybody in Australia knows about the McCann saga. My friends were like, I can't believe you put that in there, Dawn. I'm like, why not? It's true. I didn't medicate my boys and leave them for hours and pre-plan to leave them every night for over a week at the same time. I didn't do that. My boys were 12 and a half and 8.5. They were very responsible. And my eldest he came out and said, he goes, Mummy, so why did they teach us to read, and they promote the fact that we should read Enid Blyton's famous five, and five go off to Kirin Island and all that jazz if we're not allowed to have adventures? You're like the best mummy ever. But over the next 3 years, I ended up studying criminal law, family law, and human rights law.
Blows my mind away, because that's why there's helicopter parenting. You do know that term, like fucking parents that.
Yeah.
And I find it with my son. My son is almost 2, and people in my mum's group still haven't taken their child on a playground to play. From the moment my son could walk, I put him on a playground and he could play. But there's this helicopter parenting, and just how are you meant to give independence, teach your children to have independence if you can't allow them to have that independence on their own?
Well, I don't think it's just about their independence. I think it's about them knowing that they can trust themselves, and it's about giving them the confidence to be all of who they are, you know, and it's like climbing trees. Kids in the UK, there are signs everywhere, do not climb trees, but you can go and climb a concrete structure or one of these paid for climbing frames. You can go and climb one of those. But a tree is so much better for you, because a tree is not stable. A tree helps you work your core muscles. A tree helps you learn to balance. A tree is natural. You're getting the natural energy from that tree, you know, and it doesn't need maintaining. So they like wasting money, but it's just this whole helicopter parenting, or bubble wrap parenting as I call it. It's disabling our kids. It's not enabling them, it's disabling them. And you're seeing it as a coach now, who's now been coaching people for close to 20 years. A lot of my clients, it's this helicopter parenting. Your parents not allowing you to do something because of their fears, and passing their fears onto you, their money story onto you, their life is hard, or you can't do that because it's not safe. It's all of that that's coming into the new generations, and actually stopping people from being the fullest, most badass version of self. And we have so many mental health problems around the world at the moment, especially in the Western world, where there is all of this bubble wrap parenting. But when we lived out in Egypt, and when you look at Eastern societies or African, you don't see, even though they've got civil wars and things like that going on, you don't see the depth of mental health issues, because people know that they are strong. They know that they've got it. They're capable. They might have trauma because of wars and things like that, but when you look at kids in Egypt, they're so much more capable than kids in England. So much more capable.
Models, like it's generational beliefs you're talking about that are passed on. And what I hear from what you're saying in Egypt is that their parents are role modeling how it's meant to be, like how they can navigate the world in a safer way. So that I was using the wrong words, like you're talking about the independence, but allowing them to know how to trust themselves, more importantly. But where am I going with this? I've gone off on a tangent. But the independence. So I've gone off. Don't know what I was saying. I've got
tangents are good.
but But it's really important, like what you're talking about is generational beliefs. For me, like you're talking about that right now, and that's something you're finding that people are accidentally, and they're not intentionally passing those beliefs onto their kids. They've taken, I found with myself, I took on like a stigma of my mum is like, money doesn't grow on trees. I remember my mum used to tell me that all the time. And that was her trying.
Money is trees.
Oh, I love it. This is why I love you. Yes, like this is why. Because she told me, because she didn't have another form of language to turn around and say, well, I'm a single mum. If I buy one for you, I have to buy it for the other 5 siblings because there's 6 of us. And I understand that. But then I find that generational belief popping up. Like it just, and I know you're saying that with your clients, they just pop up, and you would find a lot of people with blockages that you have to navigate with them.
I also think one of the things about, you know, where you just mentioned that if your mum buys it for 1, she has to buy it for all 6. And one of the things that I do with a lot of the clients that I work with in the parenting field is treating your children equally does not mean treating them the same. And for example, Khalid, my eldest, he's such an indoor guy. And this is why I love it when they come and visit me as I'm sailing around the world, like separately, because they're such different individuals. Khalid is really, really, you know, he's just like, he's a homeboy. Not like, you know, badass homeboy, like going down in the thing and, you know, all his bling and his bitches and his pimping his ride and all. He's like, I want to stay at home, you know, just chill out with my mum. We'll read a book, or we'll play cards or what have you. He likes being out in nature, but he doesn't like getting sand everywhere. So I'm trying to navigate the sun. I am the sun. My name is Dawn. And you know, he gets really bad hay fever. NASA, completely other end of the spectrum. Like, come on, let's just go do this. Like, yeah, let's just do whatever outside. You know, that just north and south. So if I was to give Khalid exactly the same as I would give NASA, I wouldn't be treating them equally. I wouldn't be meeting their needs equally. If my mum had treated me, my brother, and my sister the same, oh, I think I would. Yeah, no, it would scare the life out of my sister. My brother would just have a meltdown if my mum treated them the same way that she treats me. It'd just be crazy. Gosh.
Because if I reflect upon it, my mum did try to treat us all the same, and hence the reason why there was so much chaos within the whole, the mess of it all. But I also love that, and something I learned about you today is that your 2 boys don't live with you, but you were discussing on one of your go lives how the relationships changed in such a positive way. Because a lot of us I know I took my mum for granted because she was with me all the time, but my dad I'd see once a year. So I would never ever turn around and talk to my dad in the same way that I would talk to my mum. And I difference in your kids as a result of that too.
Yeah, I mean, a phrase that came up there was familiarity breeds contempt. We kind of do take the people that are around us all the time for granted. You know, I was talking to my youngest son last night, and it was like, if it wasn't for Skype and WhatsApp, I don't think I could be away from them. But they both say, my youngest says, Mummy, you've got to go do you. Other than the fact that he says that if I don't do it now, I'm going to be too old to do what I'm doing. Cheeky little sod. But my eldest is like, if you ever come back from this trip without completing it, I'm going to book you a flight and send you back to where you just came from. I'm like, okay, I'll just keep going then. Yeah, 15, no, 6, oh my God. He's nearly 17, and the youngest is nearly 13. Flying around the world on their own.
Well, what I'm hearing is that you've installed those beliefs that anything's possible. Like that's a big theme of me and what I do, and this is why I do this, is that my mum didn't follow her dream, and I watched my mum suffer as a result of that. And I'm a huge encouragement for both mums and dads to pursue their life, their passion. And with that, you're doing that because it gives your kids permission to follow their hearts in the future as well.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think I'm a bit similar to yourself, because I watched my mum, and I heard I mean, there's always this thing that goes through my mind. I remember when my mum was driving me to my work, and we always used to drive past this beautiful house. It was an old relic. Oh, it was just stunning. Like, I, when every time I think about it, I just see all of the people from the past century with their long gowns and, the top hats and the horses and everything. It's just stunning. Because I always wanted to buy that house. I was like, why didn't you then? Because just and my mum gave up so much for me and my brother and sister. She wore the mantle of single parent like a badge of honor. She martyred herself for the three of us. She gave up everything that she wanted so that we could have. I didn't want to be that mum. I was like, no, we can have it all. I can have everything that I want, and my kids can have everything they want, but I have to lead them by example. If I'm not leading by example, then I'm a hypocrite. That's how I saw it. It might trigger people, but there are so many mums out there that martyr themselves for their husband or their partner and their children. And what we're doing inadvertently is emasculating men. We're emasculating the father of our children and saying, you know what, you were good enough to have kids with, but you're not good enough or capable enough to take care of the children without me supervising you. Back off, mums, because they've totally got it.
Oh my God, you got it, you got it. I suffered. I was spiraling into the pit of depression because I was that fucking martyr. Because my model was that my mum. So I thought to be a mum, like to be a great mum, I had to give up my career, I gave up gym, I gave up everything for the first like 7 months of my life. And what happened?
Sent you batshit.
And I went fucking batshit. I went crazy. And I was sitting on an airplane. My sister saw this and she said, you need to come to Dubai. You need to fucking come to Dubai and be with me. I sat on the plane and I was crying when they gave the instructions of putting the oxygen mask on yourself before your kid. Because I realized I had been doing that and I'd been
she's got goosebumps.
This is why I've got this series and disempowering my fucking husband because I micromanaged our child. I did, and my husband was capable. Like, and I came back from that trip. I spent 3 weeks in Dubai, and I came back and I apologized profusely to him. And started teaching, like I took on a yoga course every weekend. My husband didn't know what to do. I remember like the first time he had my son for the same and I pumped milk for him. He went to the supermarket and he brought 6 different types of bottles because he couldn't get my son to drink the milk. And then he was like sending me messages going, baby, I don't know what I'm doing. This is not going on. I don't know. Like, he's like, I'm figuring it out. And I was like, Frank, you can figure it out. Just breathe. And he did. And and it gave the connection my son needed. Like, it was absolutely the connection that my husband, that wasn't that link, it was missing. And when I stepped back and got rid of that micromanaging, and our relationship shifted in a better way too, like in such a grand way.
I remember having a conversation with my ex-husband because we're still really good friends. I absolutely adore him in so many different ways. And he triggers the fuck out of me though. Like, seriously, I still want to smack him around the head with a saucepan sometimes. But then I go, oh, okay, actually, no, he's got a point. Let me go journal on that. Okay, let me go for a swim in the ocean. Okay, I've totally got this. Yeah, he was right. He was right. And then I trigger him, so it's all good. But I remember a few months ago choosing to continue with this journey. It was not long after I went overboard and smashed all my teeth. And I was like, okay, do I continue with this circumnavigation? Do I continue sailing around the world? I had just had a load of haters telling me that I was selfish, that I thought more of myself and my business than I did of my children, and what kind of mother was I to have left my children alone. I was like, and that, and this is the thing, it's like this one particular guy goes, you've chosen to be a public figure, therefore you've chosen to be insulted and criticized. I was like, no, I haven't. I've chosen to inspire and empower and lead. I haven't chosen to be criticized. you're the one that's choosing to criticize, and you're the one that's not dealing with the triggers that are coming up for you that enables you to hate on me. That's not my stuff. But again, it was that all of that unraveling, because the more we rise and the more we show up in this world as who we truly are, the more you see people's wounds. And the more work we do on our own, the more we see other people's. And I remember sitting here, well, not here particularly, and I was on the beach and I just sat there and I cried. I was like, is this the right thing for me to be doing? And then looking at each of the impacts that this was having. Because with the Scotland saga, I spent 3 years traveling backwards and forwards to Scotland. Now that was a 12-hour trip there. So it wasn't just me nipping to Scotland, because those, I mean, what's that? That's further than Melbourne to Sydney, isn't it? Like, Australia went poof with my head in distance. I was like, what the hell? What do you mean it's going to take me on 9 hours to get there? It's only down the road. But going from where I lived in the UK to get to where I needed to get to in Scotland, considering I had to go through an area called the Closets, which is so beautiful. If you've never been and you want to go to the UK, go to Scotland. I mean, I know that all of this drama happened in Scotland, but I still love Scotland. The energy, the landscapes, oh, it's the most beautiful part of the UK. So I would have to go all the way there, stay in a hotel for the night, go to the courtroom and spend 10 minutes. It was done, and then back again. And I had to do that every single month, pretty much. And I've just become a single mum at this point, after 18 years of marriage. I was in the process of building a business. No one wanted to hire me because I was so overqualified and too experienced and too knowledgeable. And as one of my friends said, Dawn, you're just too badass. No one wants to hire you because you scare the life out of them. Which I'm all good with. And so I was going all of that way and then back again. So that's roughly 3 days out of the week just for a 10-minute court session. And then to sit in a courtroom and then hear all the stuff that was being said about me, I'm like, oh my gosh. And what these haters had said to me about abandoning my children, it brought up so many of the triggers of what the police had said I'd done, because they said I had abandoned my children and willfully neglected them. And I'm like, hang on a second. One, you've said willfully. You can't prove what my intention was or what my intention wasn't. So you can't actually say I willfully did it. You can't say I willfully did anything, because you are not me. You do not know who I am and what my thought process was. Secondly, neglect is a series of events over and over and over again. Abandonment means to leave and to never return. So just looking at it from a vocabulary perspective made them look like idiots. Then the more I studied the law, the more I'm like, hey, they can't, like, this is a clause of a clause of a clause of a clause of a law that was set in 1932. I don't live in the 1930s. I live in the 2000s. Why are we governed by laws and rules made up to serve people of a different time? And your rules do not apply to me because I'm not the person that rule was made up about. I am not that person. So your rules do not apply to me. Your laws do not apply to me because I'm not the people that those laws were put in place for. Like I say to my children, smart people do not follow stupid rules. We challenge them. That's how we innovate. That's how we lead. That's how we change. That's how we evolve. And so I spent all this time away from my children. I spent all this time studying. I mean, I did the equivalent of a 6 to 7 year law degree in 3 years, as well as writing an international best-selling book, as well as building a business, as well as becoming a green belt in mixed martial arts. Thank you. I'll take that. I love martial arts. It's great. And so to have this person tell me that I'd abandoned my kids, that brought up so much. I was like, okay, have I done that? Have I really? And it was like, and so I had a conversation with Ramo, the father of my children. His real name's Omar, by the way. So Ramo is his nickname. It's Omar backwards. And I spoke with the boys, and Ramo said to me, you trusting me to have the boys has made our family stronger. It's not made it weaker. And it made him step up. So by me stepping back, it's enabled all three of them to step up into the men that they were born to be, into the father that he was born to be, and for my boys to step up into their king already, you know? So yeah, we've got to back off and let the men do it.
A generational belief. I see it with a sister-in-law. Her husband doesn't help her with nothing, with the kids, nothing around the house. And his father does the same. And Frank, my husband, does everything. Like, I'll come home and at the house, and he'll come and do it. But that's because his dad did the same. His dad is 20 years older than his mum. So what happened is his dad retired, and Frank was born when his dad was 60. The house. So Frank saw mum was still working. Dad was doing all these things. Dad took him to school. Dad does this. Dad, you know. And so my husband's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He doesn't stand. Like, the worst thing I fucking see on Christmas Day or any family occasion, that the men are fucking sitting on the table, doing nothing, talking, and the women are running around and thinking it's okay. No. My son is not going to be one of those boys. My son is going to be in the middle of the sink like his dad, with his hands dirty, telling the ladies, you have a martini if you want. I'm going to do the work. You know, like, it's real. And I hear that's what you're doing with your sons too. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, and this is the thing, I think, I mean, when I first married Ramo, he's an Arab, and his dad was Palestinian and his mum's Egyptian. And so what was really interesting, and I mentioned this in my live stream the other day, that when I first married him or first got with him, people were like, oh, he's an Arab. There were two situations. He was either going to beat the crap out of me and lock me in a cupboard and not allow me to do anything other than be a slave to the house, or he was a rich oil baron, which made it all okay. It didn't matter what he did, he was going to be a rich oil baron. He was neither, you know. And his dad, such a beautiful soul. Such a beautiful soul. He was amazing. You know, when he would come to visit, especially after Khalid was born, he'd be up at 5 o'clock. He'd be out in the garden. I mean, his dad was a doctor, and I wasn't allowed to lift a finger. The Palestinian men, they honor their women. They're like, you know, he's like, no, you've just given birth. Just go sleep. Just do what you need to do. I've got this. Go feed the baby. Bring him back. You know, there would be a cup of tea waiting. There would be dinner made. And this is the example that my ex-husband had. And it was very much a team. You know, best family is team. But if you've got a team member that's not pulling their weight, or you've got a team member that's doing everything, everybody else feels disempowered. It's like when you look at a business. Family is the best team. Family is a business. You've got to have someone leading it. You've also got to have everybody pulling their weight. It's like, I mean, I do a lot of sailing, as you know, and if we didn't have a captain and everybody else was trying to captain, it just wouldn't work. And if only one member of the team of the crew was hauling the sails, navigating, doing everything, that it just wouldn't work. Even people that sail solo have an autopilot. I mean, I call him George. So, you know, well, if we've had one where he was called, what was he? Herman was another autopilot. But that's the thing, you've always got something to back you up. And I do think that one of the things that I've learned with a lot of my female clients is that we have been taught as women through the ages that we are simply here to serve. We're not. We have dreams. We have aspiration. We are human too. We have a purpose. And it's not just to be a baby maker and a homemaker. It is to live to our full potential. And that's why, when we learn, I mean, I know that we were mentioning that, why it's so important to invest in our mind. If I hadn't have studied the law, and I hadn't have invested in my mind and then invested in my body with the mixed martial arts every day. I mean, the boys and I would train in the dojo together. And I would say, oh yeah, I used to really I say to them, when we step on those mats, I am not your mother. I'm just another competitor. And they're like, what? I was like, you've got to hit me. And my eldest was like, no, I'm not going to hit you. I'm like, you are going to hit me. Because if you don't hit me, I will hit you. And he was like, what? I was like, just think of all those times I've asked you to do chores around the house that you've not really wanted to do, or the times I've not allowed you to do stuff that you wanted to do. I said, do you know that? Like when you go, I said, just tap into that and punch me. And they're like, no, I'm not going to punch you, mummy. I'm like, I told you, if you don't punch me, I'm going to roundhouse you right here, right now, and put you on the floor. And they're like, I can't hit you, mummy. I'm like, hit me. And they were like, ah. And the first time they hit me, right, I was like, well, that wasn't very good, was it? You've got to get your arm up. You've got to swing your body. You've got to turn your body. And I'm like, come on, just. And then I said, if you cannot hit me in a dojo as your fellow competitor and put aside the fact that I'm your mum, you are not going to be able to stand up to anybody. And that means the authorities, because the authorities are damaging our education system. They're damaging the food that the World Health Organization are passing off to put into our body. They are putting stuff in our water. They are passing education bills at the bottom of terrorism bills so we don't question them. Yeah, and this thing, investing in your mind enables you to be able to ask smarter questions. And when you ask smarter questions of other things and other situations and other people, you start to ask smarter questions about yourself. So your own expansion grows, and you end up seeing the world almost for the first time. I love it. Like I'm reading about biogenetics at the moment, just because I can. Like, oh my God, that's like, really?
People don't realize to dumbify us. I hate to use that word, but to make us dumber and consumers.
They do.
It's about an economic drive. If we consume, we keep the economy going. And they also put us in, like, and as much as I love like using the platform of social media, it puts you in this state, spirals you into a comparison, comparing yourself to others. And it disempowers you. Like people, you need to look at your social media account and how much time you spend on it, because Facebook has spent millions of dollars in investing, probably billions, about how they can catch you. Keep doing it. They know when you're on the toilet. They know where you are. They know, and they've created a whole feed, an algorithm, a mathematical equation based on how they can keep you staying on there, because you are the product. People don't understand. If you're not paying for it, you are the product.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, if someone says to me, oh, you're always on Facebook, I said, no, I'm not. They're like, you are. I'm like, I'm not always on Facebook. Do you really think I'd be able to write the books and the content and coach the clients and read all these books that I'm reading and have all this knowledge if I was always on Facebook? They're like, well, I just see you everywhere. I said, it's called time mastery. It's not time management. I don't do time management. I do time mastery. And that's something that I build into my 7-week author course. It's something I put into my 21-day vision creation program. It's something that I have taught for, God, no, I don't know how many years now. Because I did, there was a guy back in the day, back when we were all much younger, called Paul J. Meyer. He did this, it was a Success Motivation International, and he did like lots of different courses, but that was his signature program, his entry-level program. And And it was all about organizing your time into 5-minute increments. 5-minute increments. And it wasn't to control you. It was to get you to be aware of how long you spent doing something and how you can become more efficient and how to actually gift yourself time. Because so many of us will book a meeting with other people, but we never book a meeting with ourselves. When I go to the gym, I'm having a meeting with myself. When I go to the spa, I'm having a meeting with myself. When I'm reading, I'm having a meeting with myself. And when my boys were younger, I used to take them along to business meetings. You know, they would be there absorbing all of that knowledge, like, you know, on a very deep level, with it. While they were there with the Lego blocks or their own little books or what have you. They had their own space in my office. And it was very much, you want to do business with me, you do business with me. And if that means I'm bringing my dog, I need to walk my dog, and that's the only time in the day that you actually have available, you'll come for a dog walk with me, and we'll be walking through the woods and we'll be having a meeting. The amount of stuff we would get done more out walking a dog or in the park while I'm pushing my kids on the swing. And people are like, oh, I've absolutely loved this meeting with you. I'm like, oh yeah, because it's not sat in a building at a desk with you in your shirt and tie hanging yourself every morning. You're outside in nature. You're moving your body. You're breathing in fresh air instead of stale air from the hotel conference room or your office.
Too, because I know, like, look at those 5-minute increments that you can look at it, but also too, we give our time away so freely, and it's the most valuable commodity we have. Like, if you reflect upon it, like, I am 38 this year, 38 years have gone like that. And I know I spoke to Frank's mum. Frank's mum passed away when she was 74, and she said it was gone in the blink of an eye. Like, and then and people will trade. They will give you money for time. People will outsource things. Like, you know, I know this about millionaires and billionaires. They will outsource everything so that time, because they see time is the most valuable commodity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is the thing, it's I had this conversation with a friend of mine recently. He goes, oh, can I pick your brains? I was like, well, it'll cost you. I've invested my time and effort and energy into learning everything I've learned. And then I remember doing how far do we go with that though? Do we start charging our parents for time? Do we start charging our friends for time? Do we start charging our children for time or our dogs for time? But it's when people want my knowledge, you're going to pay for it. You know, if you want my time, you're going to pay for it, because I faced my own mortality 3 times. Okay, whether that is why I'm so protective over my time now, I don't know. But when you have been told you've got 24 hours to live, or you have gone overboard in the middle of an ocean and you're just strapped on with this lifeline and you're banging against the side of a yacht, and then you see this hand come out, God bless you, Lorenzo, and he pulled me back on, and I've spat my teeth out because they're just crumbs in my mouth. And you kind of value your life a lot more than some people that take it for granted. You know, they put all this crap in their body, or they just lie around doing nothing, and they think, oh, Dawn, you know, you just this or that. And I'm like, I don't really care. You've not had my experiences. You know, when these people hated on me for leaving my children alone, I want to be the very best mum that I can be. Okay, because I nearly lost myself and my second child during childbirth. If I'd have had the experience I had 20 years before that, or if I had been living here in modern day, but being in a third world country, I wouldn't be sat here having this conversation with you now. I wouldn't have the son that I have. Now, that gives you a very different perspective on life. You know, when you have lost the amount of friends that I've lost, I lost a friend at 11 years old due to a drunk driver. I lost another friend. I mean, the amount of people that have died in my life because of other people not valuing themselves, which has impacted on them and lost their life. Other people went through it, but they didn't put the jigsaw pieces together. You know, they didn't connect the dots. And or they've gone into the pity party and gone, you know what, I'm really sad, I'm really miserable. Okay, well, do something about it then. Stop being a victim. Everything happens for us, it doesn't happen to us. And until we change that part of the sentence, then we're never really going to become the very best version of self and the happiest version of self. And some people go, oh, but you're a bit tough, Dawn. I'm like, I am not. I will cry. You know, I will see kids playing together, and I'll see some and I'll go, oh, that's so lovely. And I'll cry my eyes out. I'm as soft and gooey as you like, but I value my time and I value my knowledge and I value my energy because I know I'm never going to get this life back again. And I'm not going to have people take away from me leading my children. I'm not going to have them take away from me living my life. The Scotland police system and the Scottish justice system tried to do that and they lost. Then no one else is going to do that. The Scotland saga was a very defining moment in my life, as well as the Egyptian uprising. But when you have this guy that doesn't know you, that walks into a police cell and says to you, give us the names and addresses of people that can come and collect your children. And I'm like, well, I can't give you the names and addresses. I can tell you where they live and direct you there. You know, you go left at the roundabout, straight over and past this house on the left, but I can't tell you what the address is. He goes, right, you're being difficult, we're taking your kids off you. And then 2, 3, 4 hours later, however long it was, because it's all a blur inside that police cell, because you have no concept of time in a dark police cell. And this woman comes in and hands you several pieces of paper, and you can't even read them. And then they make you sign this document. You know, I can't read it. I don't know what it says. I said, you have to sign the document. If you don't sign it, we'll take your kids off you anyway. I'm like, what? And I'm going, like, I'm going to wake up in a minute. This is all just a really bad dream. When that happens to you, you're like, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think you know about me. You know nothing about me. You can judge all you like. And it was quite interesting because in the courtroom, when my lawyer, we'd heard days and days of evidence against me and the kind of person I was and all of this. And she put me on the stand and she asked me to describe the work I do, the books I write about, and what my next book was. In fact, I was a school governor, you know, and I was a police assessor, and, you know, I was an international best-selling author who wrote books about corruption and social stereotypes and leadership, and, you know, and they sound quite heavy, but most people read them in a few hours because they can't put them down, which is really nice to know. The judge and the prosecutor looked at me and went, oh my God, who are we dealing with here? Because they had bought into all the BS that had been said about me without doing any proper investigation. They had not looked at any of the character references that had been sent, because in Scotland, they don't accept character references. So I could say anything about you. I could team up with a friend of mine and say that you did something just because we didn't like you, or we didn't like, you know, the fact you've got blonde hair or you're wearing a red jumper. We could go, we don't like what, let's just get together and we can say stuff. We can go to the police. We can get you charged with something, and our statements will act as evidence. Scary stuff.
I wanted to talk about, and it's along the same thing, is that you've always, what I see that's empowered is that you own your story. Like, you've owned it, you don't deny it, you own it. But I know your role and in your mentoring is that you help other people write their stories.
Mm.
Through that, they learn to own and be empowered by their story rather than running away from it as well.
Mm. Yeah, because when you own who you are and you go, yeah, I did do this. Yeah, this did happen. And I'm still here. I've still got a dirty giggle. I'm still having fun, and I know that where I'm going and I know the impact that I'm having in this world and I intend to have in this world. I don't want some two-bit someone who hasn't got anything better to do with their life than criticize other people to go around saying to the newspapers, "Oh, did you know I went raving with Dawn and we went out and we took drugs and we did this and that and the other." And I'll go, "Yeah, I wrote my first book about it. Go read it. I ain't got time to play your silly little games. Go read my books." What you will read in there is honest and raw, and it will make you laugh. It will make you cry. It will. I mean, one woman, she goes, "Oh, I read your book, Wallahi," which was the one that went to international bestseller status 14 days after I started writing it. 7 days to write it. 7 days later, it was an international bestseller on 3 continents. That was boom moment. I was like, what? That happened? How'd that happen? Well, I know how it happened, but she goes, I read it because I wanted to know about the Egyptian uprising from a person who wasn't a journalist or a media perception. She goes, but you changed the way I live my life. You changed the way I view things. She's just from reading your book. And I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. Thanks.
I know the viewers are watching this, you're going to change their life based on what you're sharing tonight. One, you're like you owning who you are, to allowing us to see that we as women don't have to just be of service, that we can literally have it all. Like you are a prime example. I'm going to put your photo up on my wall to put it there, to be honest, because you need to have those role models, and you see them in the male, you see men all the time that have it all, but you don't get to see many women. It's like you just said, that criticism comes into play. People judge you, and a lot of people run away from having it all because they're concerned about what other people will think of themselves or think of them.
And that's the thing, we all need a role model, right? As you can see, I'm not glossy or glamorous. I can rock an evening dress, don't worry. Like, put me in a
Paige,
nice evening dress with a pair of heels. Keynote speaker at a black tie dinner, I've done it and I love it. I cannot wait to sit down at another black tie dinner, as a keynote speaker with a 3-course meal served to me. I love that, but I'm equally as comfortable on a boat, arms in grease, looking at engines and going, okay, well, I don't get it. Like engines and electrics. I mean, I set the science lab on fire when I was at school because, like, I don't do chemistry. You don't really want me doing chemistry. You really don't. I'm not Heisenberg, although that's a great program. You don't want me doing that. But I think this is the thing, when we own who we are, we give permission to other people to own who they are. I am not somebody who had a silver spoon put in her mouth when she was younger. My mum worked in a shop, my dad worked on a farm, and then he worked in a factory. I was the first entrepreneur, I was the first author, I was the first one to move away from the village we grew up in. And I have broken so many cords and so many legacies attached to my past. And it has been a lonely journey in so many ways, and I've never really felt that I've belonged anywhere. But by the things I've written in my books, and I've had complete strangers reach out to me and go, you made me feel like I wasn't alone. You made me feel that it was okay to be me. And this is the thing, when we are inspired by our own journey and when we're writing the books, and this is something that my author clients, that a lot of the time they cry because they go, I didn't see myself like that. I'd never really taken the time to actually sit down and go through this process of looking at each area of my life and writing it down and creating this this manuscript, because I always say it's about getting the first draft down, because whether we then go on to write a play or a film, or we write a training course or blueprint for our business, which is why I call it the author course. It's not a writing course. I'm not going to teach you how to write. I'm going to teach you how to author your life. And I'm going to guide you so that you author your life, not me, you. And it's when, we're not all going to be, sat there in a nail bar having our nails done, or having all the luxuries in life, because for some of us that's just too big. It's a distance traveled. I mean, some of the kids that I've worked with on some of the community projects I've done, for them to even consider some of the things that some of the people in my circles have achieved, it's just not even, their third, fourth, fifth generation benefits families, where these kids, there's a young girl that always comes to mind. Her parents had been sending her out as a prostitute to earn money to send back to the family. And this is like fourth generation. Her brother was sent out to sell the drugs. And for her to, I mean, she no longer has anything to do with the family. She's the first person in the fifth generation of her family to have bought her own house, to have got educated. She's finished high school. She's gone on to get a degree. And that for her is the biggest dream that she could have had at that time. So to go on and travel the world and have multimillionaire businesses, she doesn't want that, because that's not who she wants to be, because she's happy with what she's got. I've had people who they're multimillionaires that have, people thought are crazy, walking away from businesses and going and starting a little B&B in a seaside town and walking away from it all, selling everything, and then giving people in the local community jobs just from the profits that they've made from selling their businesses and selling their properties, just so that they can go and surf all day long and actually have something and give other people jobs and never have to worry about money. So it is what is it that makes our hearts sing? What is it that makes us get really happy and get really emotional about who we are and proud of who we are and what we can gift to others as well as to ourselves? And there's a lady I'm working with at the moment. Oh, she makes me cry. I love her. I love her so much. I fall in love with my clients because of who they are and who they get to see who they are. And I think one of the biggest lessons I've had is when my ex-husband had a brain tumor nearly 18 years ago. We had a really, really great business. And then boom, it was gone. Like, his income was the main income in the business. And what I learned from that is corporations only look at you as a financial figure. They don't care about what's going on in the business. So a lot of the businesses that we worked with, they saw that we were making all of this money in the business, then boom, it was gone. They're like, oh, you're a credit risk. You're a risk to us now. It's like, hang on a second. I'm renovating a house. I'm taking care of a husband who's got a brain tumor. And I'm running a business. And I'm doing all of this other stuff and all this community work, and you're telling me I'm a risk? I didn't buy into that. You are not going to tell me who I am. I'm going to say, and I'm going to see who I am. And I'm going to love myself, and I'm going to honor myself. And I'm going to be the biggest, best inspiration that I have ever had in my life. Because if we're looking at other people for inspiration, we're forgetting our own innate wisdom. We're dismissing all our own learning. We're dismissing all our own experiences. We're dismissing all our emotions. We're dismissing all of our thoughts and putting somebody else above us. Nobody else is above us. We are all equal. We are all human. And if I kick you, you will bruise. Because I used to name my bruises when people used to kick me.
Well, Dawn, we're almost at 1 hour. So is there anything, we're loving it. Is there 3 things that you'd like to share with people before you run away? 3 things that, I don't know, from your life that you'd like to share, or something that could make a big difference in their day to day?
Always find something to giggle about. Always. There's always something to giggle about. Every single day, make sure you giggle. Because giggling is, oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. So always giggle. Um, always write. I'm always writing. For me, if I don't write every single day, I go batshit crazy. Like I have to just pour out, whether it's a fear, whether it's excitement, whether it is a dream that you have, and it's something that I cover on my 21-day vision creation program, which we kick off next week. Always write your hopes and dreams every day. Reconfirm it every single day. Get all this stuff that's in here out on paper with a pen, and then go burn it on the beach. I mean, that's what I do. Yeah, alchemize it, because when you pour it all out and you burn it all, you're actually burning all the negativity, and you're alchemizing all the positivity. Now, the reason I do it on the beach is because then the ashes go into the sand, the ocean then washes it away, but the fire is fueled by the air. So you're using all four elements of nature to burn your fears and doubts to the ground. And then you're alchemizing all your hopes and dreams into reality. So yeah, it's a bit witchy woo woo for some people, but that works for me.
So I love
And
it.
read.
Goosebumps. And what's your number 3?
Read.
And read. Oh,
Read. Read.
yes. That's for the mind.
What if you want to learn about something? Read. Go find out. Don't, and never listen to other people. Don't listen to other. I was bullied at school because I used to read so much. Now I'm an international best-selling author with my own publishing company, my own business, doing what I'm doing. All those that bullied me at school. I'm your best friend. No, you're not. Jamie is.
I love that about you. Honesty all the way, 100%. Well, I know it's your morning, so and it's evening here in Australia. Thank you. I cannot convey enough how honoured I felt when you sent me a message saying that you would love to be a part of this. So honestly, and a brief, I didn't even consider you, my love, and I'm so grateful. Honestly, am that you're making my dream possible. And I know that there's people out here telling me that they love it. They absolutely love you, and they love your message, and just keep being you.
Thank you so much.
You're very.
I will do, and you too. It's like seeing that post where you got all emotional. I was just like, oh my gosh, she's doing some epic stuff. Of course they want to be part of it. And that's the thing, you never know. You know, people, you never know who's watching. You never know what people can add. So just be open to it. Just be open. And love who you are always.
You are like love, 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 love. Well, God bless you, beautiful woman, and God bless everybody that's watching. And enjoy your evening or your morning. And I know I'll be talking to you again soon, or stalking you, really.
Stalk away.
Stalk away. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.